What's up? This is Smash Pass MMA here to break down UFC Fight Night Strickland versus Hernandez. Starting with the prelims, we got Juliana Miller versus Carly Judice. I'm going to go Carly Judice. The women fights are stupid until they're in the top 10. Moving on, we got Jordan Levitt versus Yadir Delval. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Jordan Levitt's good, but not great. And this is the type of prospect that should do pretty well against Jordan Levitt. I'm gonna go with Yadir, but I could see it going either way. Jordan Levitt does have some pretty good grappling, but I think overall Yadir is probably gonna take that one. Next up, we got Philip Rowe versus Jean-Paul Lebesnoyani. I'm gonna go Jean-Paul in this one. Philip Rowe, again, he's good, but really not great. And 11-6 record. Jean-Paul's 9-2. Those type of prospects tend to give the Philip Rowes and the Jordan Levitts problems. Yadir's 10-0 against Levitt, and Jean-Paul's 9-2 against Rowe. Those are the type of prospects that usually give those guys problems. So I'm gonna go with the prospects on that one, not the gatekeepers. Next up, we got Ramiz Brahimaj versus Punahele Soriano. Now this one's definitely much more of a interesting fight. So I can see that going either way. I'm gonna lean Ramiz Brahimaj just because neither one has really beaten anyone that impressive. I feel like Ramiz has lost to better guys. If you look at the guys they've lost to, and I'm gonna go with submission for that. I'm gonna say Ramiz by submission, maybe like a guillotine, but probably more like a rear naked choke. Next up, we got Nora Knoll versus Jocelyn Edwards. I'm gonna go. It's a girl fight at the end of the day. It could go either way. It is a rematch. I'm going to have to go with Jocelyn Edwards. She lost the first fight between these two. But Nora Knoll is coming off a loss to Carol Rosa and only one win before that, and then another loss to Jacqueline Cavalcanti. And Jocelyn Edwards, on the other hand, is coming off a 3-fight win streak. Priscilla Cachoeira, Chelsea Chandler, Tamiris Vidal. Then she lost to Aileen Perez. And then before that was the Nora Knoll loss. So I think since that loss, Edwards has gotten better and Knoll has just kind of stayed the same, is what it seems like. So that's where I'm going to lean on that one. Next up, we got Alden Correa versus Luis Garule. Luis Garule is coming off of 2 losses. Alden Correa is on a 4-fight win streak, plus a no contest in his last 5. So in submission, TKO, no contest, TKO, TKO. So I would say, the momentum, the finishing rate, all in Alden's favor. And Garule coming off of 2 losses, a TKO and then a decision, I believe. He has all the headwinds against him versus the momentum for Correa. Next up, we got Ode Osborne versus Alibi Adiris. I'm gonna go Alibi Adiris here. Ode Osborne's okay, but he's really not great. 13-9 record overall. He actually beat Garule. So Garule's last 2 losses, not the most recent one, but the one before that was to Ode Osborne. Ode Osborne just lost to Steve Erceg. Before that was the Garule win, and then 3 losses in a row. Before that, he beat Charles Johnson, lost. 2 wins before that, lost to Manel Cap. A win before that, lost to Brian Kelleher. So Ode's not bad, but he's just really not spectacular. He has some decent stand-up. On the ground, I think is where he's really consistently outmatched. And then if you have some good power in the feet, you can definitely hurt him. Going up against Alibi Adiris, who's 10-1, but coming off of his first loss. So that might have, stopped a lot of that momentum. But I think he has the power in his hands to get it done. The power in his stand-up between his punches, his kicks. He has a wheel kick knockout from, 3 fights ago. He lost his last fight by submission, but I don't think Ode Osborne is going to be the guy to submit him. So I'm going to go with Alibi by knockout. Next up, we got Carlos Leal versus Chidi Njokuani. I want to pick Carlos Leal because Chidi Njokuani has never really impressed me that much, but Carlos Leal's less impressive somehow. Somehow he is less impressive. So we got 22-7 Carlos Leal, and we got, what was it, 25-11 Chidi Njokuani. Carlos Leal, coming off a loss, KO by Muslim Salikov, beat Alex Morono before that, TKO, lost to Renat Fakretnov before that by decision, and then beat some nobodies in the LFA and UAE and stuff. So his 3 UFC fights, loses to Renat Fakretnov. That might have been short notice. He might have been stepping in short notice. Beat Alex Morono, which isn't super impressive, chubby boy. And then lost to Muslim Salikov by a KO, less than a minute into round 1. Chidi Njokuani coming off a loss, but it's a submission loss. Before that, he was on a 3-fight win streak. Before that, he got TKO'd by Mikhail Alexiachuk and Albert Duraev and Gregory Rodriguez. It was a split decision to Albert Duraev, but got TKO'd by Mikhail Alexiachuk and Gregory Rodriguez, who are much better than anybody that Carlos Leal has fought. So, that alone, coming off those 3 losses, 2 by TKO, going on a 3-fight win streak, decision, TKO, and then getting choked, which, at least it wasn't another TKO. I'm going to lean towards Chidi. It's a pretty Chidi fight regardless. Both of these guys are kind of Chidi, but I'm going to lean towards Chidi and Njokuani. Next up, the opener of the main card, we got Zachary Reese versus Michel Pereira. I would like to go Michel Pereira on that, but at middleweight, it just seems that it's too big of a weight class. He gets tired faster. He can't do the flashy stuff, which he could kind of pull off at 170 and just kind of scare guys into submission. It seems like at 185, he's facing a lot more of an uphill battle to win these fights. But Zachary Reese hasn't really beaten anyone. Zachary Reese is 10-2, with his losses being to Cody Brundage and Azamat Bakayev, and a no contest with Cedric Dumas. Meanwhile, Michel Pereira beat Ihor Peteria, Mikhail Alexiachuk, Andre Petrosky, Santiago Ponzinibbio, Andre Fiallo, Nico Price, all better names, but at a lower weight class. And since coming up to middleweight, lost to Hernandez, Abbas Magomedov, who's not very, top tier, and Kyle Dawkins. I'm still going to go Michel Pereira, honestly. I have a feeling Zachary's probably going to win, but I can't just assume Michel Pereira is going to lose again when his competition is going from Anthony Hernandez, Abbas Magomedov, Kyle Dawkins, who are all contenders, to Zachary Reese, who's, I'm not saying he's bad, but he's just not a contender, you know what I mean? But moving on from that fight, we got Jacob Smith versus Josiah Harrell, both 11-0. This is a kind of shorter notice replacement. Originally it was going to be Jacob Smith versus Kosiakyon, but they had to cancel that fight. So they brought in 11-0 Josiah Harrell from the LFA to fight 11-0 Jacob Smith. I'm going to have to go Jacob Smith. I don't know enough about Josiah Harrell to validate that 11-0 record. But what I do know is Jacob Smith has just fought way better competition. Last fight against Nico Price, he won that. Before that, he fought Preston Parsons. Both of those were finishes. A first round KO against Preston Parsons and a second round rear naked choke against Nico Price. You'd have to either know Josiah well enough to assume that he's going to pull it off, or you'd have to have some kind of insider information to not take Jacob Smith in this fight, in my opinion. But maybe there's something I just don't know. Next up, we got Ante Delija versus Sergey Spivak, which is a rescheduling of their fight, which was supposed to happen at UFC 325. Delia's last fight was a KO loss, round 1, to Waldo Cortez Acosta. Before that, he beat Marcin Tybura, Jorgen De Castro, whereas Sergey Spivak Last loss was also to Waldo Cortez Acosta. Before that, he lost to Jailton Almeida via TKO. Before that, he beat Marcin Tybura. Ironically, that's pretty funny. And before that, he lost to Cyril Gane, beat Derek Lewis, Augusto Sakai, Greg Hardy. Lost to Tom Aspinall. Beat Alexei Olenek. Some other guys. Lost to Marcin Tybura before that. I'm going to have to go with Ante Delia by knockout or TKO on the feet. But I think it could go either way. I mean, Sergey Spivak's not bad. It's kind of torn. Next up, we got Dan Ige versus Melquizael Costa. I mean, this is a pretty big jump up for Melquizael Costa. Dan Ige is like the gatekeeper of the top of the division, you know? No one's beating Dan Ige and not having a solid career. His last fight was a loss to Patricio Pitbull. Before that, he beat Sean Woodson, lost to Lerone Murphy, lost to Diego Lopez, beat Andre Fili, lost to Bryce Mitchell, beat Nate Landwehr, beat Damon Jackson, lost to Movsar Evloev, lost to Josh Emmett, lost to Chan Sung Jung, beat Gavin Tucker, lost to Calvin Cater, beat Edson Barbosa, beat Mirsad Bektik, beat Kevin Aguilar, beat Danny Henry, beat Jordan Griffin, beat Mike Santiago, lost to Julio Acker, and that's his UFC career. Everyone that he's lost to at one point was at least in the top 10. Julio Acker wasn't. Calvin Cater, Chan Sung Jung, Josh Emmett, Movsar, Bryce Mitchell, Diego Lopez, Lerone Murphy, and Patricio Pitbull. I mean, that is kind of, is that not basically the top 10 right now? But with that being said, Melquizael Costa, he beat Morgan Charrier, he beat Julian Erosa, he beat Christian Rodriguez, he subbed Andre Fili, he subbed Nerdenbiek Shalian, he lost to Steve Garcia, he beat Austin Lingo, he lost to Thiago Moises, and that was his UFC career. I'm going to have to go with Dan Ige. When Melquizael was first coming to the UFC, I was excited for it. I'm glad to see that he's having more success now. But overall, you just got to lean Dan Ige. Just the experience factor and the fact that he's really only lost to like really solid competition. It's not that Melquizael can't do it. It's just that I have to lean Dan Ige until I see something more from Costa that's going to show me he deserves to be getting this move up in the rankings. Next up, we got Jeff Neal versus Uros Medic. I would love to go with Uros Medic. I don't think Jeff Neal's that good. He's mostly a boxer. However, Uros Medic was a lightweight, and he moved up to welterweight, and Jeff Neal's a pretty big welterweight. It's a lot less forgiving when you make a mistake each 10, 15-pound jump, right? And Uros Medic was known for kind of being a precision striker, which when you give up a little bit of range and power, it can be harder to do. It can be harder to be a precision striker when every time you get hit, it's 30% harder than when you land. And when they can close the distance a lot faster than what you're used to fighting at lightweight. Obviously, like lightweight, they're faster. But if you watch Uros Medic versus Punahele, it almost seemed like Medic expected he was going to be safer than he was. He was going to have more distance between him than he did. And I think that's because when you're, fighting bigger, taller opponents, they're going to be able to cover more distance in 2 steps than a smaller opponent. A smaller opponent will be able to take 3 steps faster than a bigger opponent will be able to take 3 steps, but it might not cover the same amount of distance. I could see Jeff Neal winning this, but honestly, Punahele kind of had to blitz Medic to get that win, even though it was like the first exchange. It happened off a blitz, and Jeff Neal is not known for blitzing. So fuck it. I'm actually going to go Uros Medic. Next up, we got Sean Strickland versus Anthony Hernandez, the main event. I went back and forth with myself so many times. At first, I was like, Strickland got this in the bag. And then I was like, he really hasn't been looking good at all. The Paulo Costa fight wasn't great. The DDP rematch wasn't great. Looked pretty good in the first DDP fight. Obviously, the Izzy fight was great. He's been out for a year. Fluffy's on a great win streak. But Fluffy has not beaten... Brendan Allen, the closest thing to a top contender that Fluffy's faced. I had hope Brendan Allen was going to make it to a title shot like 2 years ago. But the hope is gone now. I don't think Brendan Allen's that good anymore. Good grappler, bad fight IQ. I think Sean Strickland is going to be able to stuff most of Fluffy's grappling. Fluffy's going to push him up against the cage, I'm sure. But I don't think he's going to be able to hold him down. I think maybe round 1 he can. I don't think Sean cares that much. It's not like Sean's a, destroyer, but he's like the Energizer Bunny, He's just going to keep fucking marching towards you. Jab, teep, jab, teep. And the more I think about it, the more I feel like Anthony Hernandez is going to look good round 1, maybe round 2. But I honestly think it's going to go to a decision, and Strickland's going to eke out either a close unanimous or a split decision. Because I can't see Fluffy. I mean, I could see Fluffy finishing him. Sean's done if that happens, That's the end of Sean's. That is the end of Sean's title run in his career. He won't be getting another title shot if he just gets choked out by Fluffy. But I don't think that's going to happen. I kind of do think Sean's going to stuff the takedown and just win over the 5 rounds. It's not going to be the most exciting fight. I thought it's going to be an exciting fight. It's going to be a fun fight, but it's not going to be the most exciting fight. I think there's going to be some shit talking going on in the ring. Everything just slightly leans towards a Sean Strickland victory. So I'm going to have to go with Sean Strickland. If Fluffy wins this, he deserves the next title shot no matter what. Like, he for sure, I mean, they can do Hamzat versus Nasruddin Imavov, but then after that, Fluffy deserves the next title shot. Hamzat shouldn't be allowed to move up. He should have to defend against Fluffy first, because if he can get through Sean Strickland the way I thought he was gonna at the beginning of this week, he definitely deserves the next title shot. So it should be a fun one. It's gonna be a little bit earlier card too. I think the main card starts at 8 and the prelims start at like 5. So double check that. Make sure you're watching at the right time, and have fun. It's going to be a good card. Peace.